Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another art session with me. It's Marcy from Prints and Paints. It's good to see you guys. So thank you so much for being patient with me and waiting on some new videos. It's been a long time. I'm so sorry. But I'm back and I'm going to be showing some new projects for you guys, and I hope that my calming voice and everything else just puts you at ease and can get those creative juices flowing. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you my new project and what we are going to be getting done this week. So I'm going to show you, I have made this beautiful piece. It is a MDF, so the back obviously is a piece of MDF, and it is a 1/4 of an inch thickness, and it is a crescent moon. I wanted to do something really fun and celestial. I wanted to work through this, and then I was probably going to finish it off with this really nice accent pendant. So it's like a glow-in-the-dark pendant to hang from the top down. And you can do other embellishments and things like that, but I found this one might be really nice. It has the mirrors involved in it, and it's just a very simple but yet soothing and really nice piece. You could even do probably an array of different sizes and shapes, things like that. But this was what we're going to be learning how to do today, guys. I will be having some kits available for these. So if you're interested, you will just get the moon shape as an MDF like this, and you will have to paint it yourself. But it will include paints, so you will be getting paint pots with it, with the colors already mixed. I will also include some of these stencils that we are going to work through the center, so I will include those as well in my kit. I will include the mirrors as well, so if you want to get them, then I will have these mirrors available. I will introduce each piece, obviously, so if you are interested in just getting them yourselves, you can also do that. So that'll be a fun kit for us to get. You can get that on my Etsy. I will leave links in the description for everything. If you are interested in just buying your own things, you can always take a look at my Amazon shop and get them from there, okay? So let's introduce some of our products that we're going to need for this, and then we'll get started on painting. Okay guys, so let's get into introducing some of the products you're going to need for this project in particular. We'll do that real quick and then we can start painting. So obviously you're going to need an MDF. So if you have these, I'm not sure where you can purchase a crescent moon. I can try to look online. Like I said, you can get these from me from my Etsy shop, okay? They will just be plain like this, and they will be included in a kit. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna just sell them individually. I might do that, I'm not sure. So you'll have this. I obviously already painted the base coat, so I'll introduce the paints to you as well. There's not that many colors in this project per se. It's just a matter of mixing the colors and getting different shades and highlights of the same color. So the brand I'm using this week is FolkArt. I really have been interested in trying some different types of paints lately. I know I usually always use the DecoArt Americana brand, and I love it. It's still great. However, I found that sometimes they don't carry colors that I am seeking. And I found that FolkArt matte brand is really great at making these nice, subtle, almost like pastel colors, where some of these colors I can't really get in the DecoArt Americana brand. So I'm going to be using FolkArt today. You can find FolkArt pretty much at any kind of craft store. Even Walmart, I believe, sells them. I'm not sure if they'll sell this color in particular, but I did get this at Hobby Lobby, just so you know. If you have other stores, that's fine. The color is 2637 Succulent. So this is a nice, it's like a nice light pastel-y, I'd say green color, okay? So that is our base color, and this is what you see here. And then to mix my colors, I used Vintage White, 515 Vintage White, and this is the matte color brands, okay? So this is what we're going to be using to mix them. And so I made an array. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades of my Succulent, and by mixing this with this. And then I also did a highlight, which is a nice metallic color, and I used the FolkArt Champagne, 675 Champagne color, and this is the metallic. This one is really fantastic too. It's a nice creamy off-white type of pearl color, okay? So I really liked these colors and I stuck with them. So that's the paints that we're going to use for this. If you do buy the kit, like I said, I will give you paint pots and I will have the colors mixed for you just like this. I'll even probably label them just so you know which ones. All right, and then we'll also include some gloss varnish. You always want to use a gloss varnish when you're finishing out a project if you're using a metallic color. Please don't forget that, because if you do use a matte varnish, it will dull down your metallic colors, and then you'll have to go back through and redo them. So that's a super important thing. That will come with your kit as well. And then I'm also going to be using these stencils that I have made on my laser cutter. So I have 3 different sizes here. They range from 3 inches, 2 inches, 1 inch. And then I'm also going to give you the cutouts for them. So if you find that you're struggling with this, you can always use this, all right? And they're just nice little flowered type shapes. It's a nice little mandala shape that I came up with. And I found the center was a nice additive to do that and fill it in. So we will be using these, and these will come with your kits, okay? Maybe I can make a download of these or sell these like this as a wooden piece. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll sell them like this if I get good feedback. Please let me know in the comments like what it is that you would like to see, because I really struggle with trying to figure out what it is that my customers like and don't like. And we can make mylar stencils or we can make wooden ones. It's up to you. The mirrors I'm using, so I bought these in a big bundle on Amazon. You can always opt to find these in other craft stores. If you own a laser cutter, you could probably even cut them yourself. Lately, I've been trying to do that myself. So I'm using a circle mirror, and then I'm also using the diamond cuts. So you can buy a lot of these for a couple bucks, so it's not really going to break the bank for you. The sizes that they are is, this is about 3/4 of an inch for the circle, and then the diamond shapes are about a 1 inch, okay, in length, this way. We will be using these as well. If you do get the kit, I will include these as well in the kit, so you don't have to worry about anything. But like I said, if you're going to do them all and get all the supplies yourself, then I'll leave links to where you can find it all. Obviously, you'll need some glue to glue down your mirrors, so I recommend using Gorilla Clear Grip. I love to use this stuff. It bonds really quickly, it's waterproof, and it holds within seconds. So it's a nice crystal clear, so you won't get any kind of residue and things like that. I also am going to be using, this is not necessary, but I found that showing you on this, because it is a crescent moon, some of these, like this one in particular, I cut this thing. So I laid it over here and then I traced out where the circle was going to cut away, and I'm using a glass cutter. So this is a couple bucks. I bought it, maybe $7 I got one. You can get these at any hardware store. pretty much anywhere, and you're just going to go over the piece of mirror and cut it. And then even with this part, you can break it, or I like to use some little pliers, and then you can crack it. And then I take a stone or a pumice stone or anything like that, and I sand down the side so it's not sharp, so it's not going to cut me. And I did that for just a few of them. These 2 circles I did it, and then I also did it for these mirrors on this side. And it just completes the look of it. It makes it look a little bit more uniformed and nice. Otherwise, you would have this diamond sticking off the side, okay? Now, like I said, if you don't want to do that, fine. You can always just do 3 mirrors and leave this one out. It's up to you. I found that these are nice investments to have if you're going to be putting embellishments on your mandalas, and it's just a nice tool to have. So most of us have these probably laying around the house anyway and don't know what the heck they are. So these are glass cutters, okay? So they could cut glass, it could cut mirrors, things like that. I also will be using a watercolor pencil just to map out my guidelines. I will be using a 6-inch ruler. You can always opt to use a compass if you like instead. I'm just going to use my ruler. That's my go-to. And then of course I'm going to be using dotting tools. So I have my happy dotting tools. I have my set of my stylus that I like to use. Those of you that might be getting new kits from me will see these kinds of tools. They're like the sparkle ones. So they're pretty much the same as these. You can follow along with me. I will be using the XDT brushes, just the size 2-0, and that's just to make some nice swoops. And I think that's about it, and a micro dotter. So I like to use the Happy Dotting micro dotter. If you don't have that, you can always use like a really tiny one, a size 1, and to make some really tiny micro dots. But that is about it, guys. So let's get into mapping out our crescent moon, and then from there we can begin our painting. Okay guys, so this one's going to be a little tricky to find the center of our crescent moon. Now obviously we can do some heavy mathematics and finding the center of a semicircle or a centroid, but that involves a lot and we ain't got time to do that, right? So I thought this is the perfect way to do it. So I basically took a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. You can see up in this little circle here, I'll run a video really quick, a time lapse of how I did it. So it's just a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. I laid the crescent moon on top of it and I traced out the shape of it. And then I did cut it out with scissors. Once I did that, I got this piece and I folded it in half, making sure that the points line up nicely. Once I did that, I laid it back over and I was able to find where the center of that is by marking it. So I marked it straight across, and then what I did was I measured from here to here. Obviously, if you're going to get this from me, it's going to be exactly the same thing, so don't stress that if yours is different. It should not be. So what I did was I measured from here to here with my ruler, and I was able to get 3 1/4. So half of 3 1/4 is roughly about 1.625. And that on a ruler is, if you're looking at the 1.5 mark, it's 2 over from there. So it's in between the half and the 2 mark. Almost like 3/4, okay? So it's like 1 3/4. So that's where we fall as far as making that center tick, and then we know, okay, there is our center. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to lay over a stencil. This is just a circular stencil. The center has 8 points and then there's 16 on the outside. So I'm going to be doing, I think we're going to do 8. No, we're going to do 16, okay? So let's line up this center so we see where it is. I'm just making that cross section there. So the line going across is going to follow that line, and then that tick mark I made up and down. And then with my pencil, if I can find it, I'm going to use not the inner part, but this outer part, I'm going to make a bunch of tick marks. Now you can use a different color. I'm still going to use white. I find I could still see it on this color. But if you want to use something darker, that's perfectly fine. My go-to is always a watercolor pencil. It's the easiest to remove. So here we go. There's our, okay. So then we can either opt to use this. It's a little bit short, so I'm probably just going to get my 12-inch ruler out so that I have that space to make these, or I can always opt to just do this. I'd find the center of this, line it up with my line. I could do it this way actually, and then go from here. So just remember when you're doing this side, you want to line up this line with over here. Okay, again, so we're just finding that center dot. And then these are just going to be our segment lines. And we're making 16 of them, okay? This should take no time at all. Again, see, so when I'm starting here now, I'm going to make sure that a little bit of that is lined up with there as well, so I know it's going to go straight down. I don't want it to be crooked at all. You got to lightly draw a line to make sure it's going over it. That's fine. Okay, almost done. Once I'm done with this, I can pop on my ruler and with my tack, and I can make some guidelines going around. Oh, I forgot to. Sorry. Hang on. Last one. Here we go. There we go. So there we go. There's our segment lines. Okay. Now I'm going to need to get a tack, and I'm going to pop this on real quick and then make some guidelines. Okay guys, so I attached my ruler to my MDF, and I'm going to just be using the 1-inch mark. If you are from another country, obviously, and you work better with centimeters, by all means, that's fine, but I am only going to be doing every 1/4 inch space. I like to start with my main ones, which is the 2-inch here. And I'm just doing one side at a time here. So we got 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5. I may need a 12-inch ruler, but I'm only going to go up to here anyway. It's okay. And then here's my 1-inch. It's a little tricky, so just be patient with yourself. Okay, and then we'll just speed this up with a time lapse, and we'll get this done quickly. Alright guys, so we're almost done. So we mapped out our guidelines, our grid lines, all of that. Now we're going to get out our mirrors, and this is just going to help us get some placement and an idea of where we are going to put these and how we're going to paint it. So the center, it should be a 1/4 inch out from the interior, right, of the center dot that we had made. And I'm just going to lay this over. So I'm just trying to eyeball and see like where this line is falling. So I want to make sure that it's not too small over here and too large over here. I just want to really make sure that I'm centering it. I'm just eyeballing this one. It does not have to be perfect. And I'm just going to trace out that mirror just so I can get an idea of where it's going to fall. There we go. And now I can get a better understanding of where it is. So you'll have this interior circle now that you made, like that, and then the outer one. So we're going to focus on this one here. to be starting our painting. So even if you want to leave it there, that's perfectly fine. Now from the center, the third line down, we're going to want to do our diamonds. All right, so if we count down, we can do the diamonds. Although we want to do our stencil first. So our center thing we're going to do first. I am going to be using the 2 and the 3. We aren't really going to worry about the number 1 because it's too small to be centered, and you're going to pretty much cover it up with that circle. So if I need to lay it over, I'm going to do so like this. And what I'm doing is I'm really just lining up this point with the line that goes across the center, and then this guideline right down the middle here is going to line up with this tip and this tip. And then I'll be able to trace that out. So that's where we're going to be with that. We're just trying to get it centered the best we can. And then I like to use the cutout one, or I should say the stencil part of it. If you want to use the cutout, go right ahead. I find that this is a little bit easier to line up with the lines because I can see them now. Whereas if I use this thing, it's going to cover it up. So there we go. There's our little mapped out. I don't know if you can see that on there. Might be a little too bright. All right, so you got your lines there. And then they go around. And now we're going to do the center. So we're going to just do this all over again, okay? And we're going to line it up with the center and that one, the tops and the sides. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw it out. Okay. Sorry about if you hear a leaf blowing. My neighbors are doing their yard, so you can pretty much hear everything going on. We are having fabulous warm weather here in Pennsylvania. It's been in the high 60s, low 70s, perfect weather. Absolutely love it. I can't wait to start gardening and getting outside and just enjoying Mother Nature. It's been too long for us here. We've been struggling with unexpected snow in April, and it's in March. It's just been chaotic. And I haven't been able to plant anything because we've been getting frost here at times, and you can't plant anything when that happens. Okay, so there's our 2 designs. So we did our 2 stencils, so while we're at it there. All right, and then we're gonna go from there, we're gonna do our diamonds. So our diamonds should fall 1, 2, 3, let's see, third line down. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be the third line down from your outer of this stencil piece. And what I mean by that is like the tip of this diamond is going to rest on the third line. So if this is falling on this one right here, the tip of that, we're going to count 1, 2, and 3. And then this is going to line up with that third line there. So you have 3 lines in between the diamond and that shape. And what I'm going to do with the diamond is basically the same thing I did with those other ones. I'm going to line up the tip with this line, this grid line, and this curved grid line here, the guideline. We're going to line up the corners, and I'm going to trace that out just so I can see where my diamonds are going to fall, because I don't want to paint over them. I want to be able to know where they're going to be. Okay, so there's one, so you can see. I hope you guys can see that. You should be able to see that. And we're going to want to do 4 of these. So there's 4 on each side. So even if you just took all 4 and lined them up, so you can get an idea of how they look. I'm going to do there. This one I already drew out. And then I'll do one over here. Now, see what I mean? These are gonna hang off the side, so you really don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is trace out the diamond shape, and then once we're done, we can flip it over and with a marker or something, draw where that turn is, that curve is taking shape. And then we know where we're gonna cut this mirror. And then I usually just like to number it and put a number underneath, like in this space, you can put a number so you know, okay, that one goes with that one. Otherwise, if you take it off, you might forget which one goes where. Like a paint by number. You want to number these out so you know, like these are fine. There's nothing, you're not changing anything about them. However, these are definitely going to be, this one actually is so close to the edge, it's a tiny little piece that we're going to cut off. It's not much at all. We could probably get away with even just sanding it down a bit. This one we'll need to cut. We'll do this after we're done painting though, just so we know, unless you want to do it now. So what I did was just put this on here, like, and then I flipped it. And then I was able to trace that spot. I have a white pen, so it's not really showing up. I can do something like this though. And then I'll just scribble in the area I know that's going to be cut. And then I can cut that with my glass cutter. So there we go, there's that side, and then we're going to just do this other side really quick as well. This way we know, and these steps are really important, I think, to do this, because 1, 2, 3, wait, 1. We got 3 lines in between it. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, there we go. So right here. One, two, three. I like doing these things prior to painting. I don't like just diving in and doing something, because that's when sometimes we change our mind and we don't like the way things look, or vice versa. It's just not, everything's not lining up. This is even when you paint a picture, you have to have some formulation of what it is that your objective is and what your design wants to be. Sometimes it feels good to be free and to just do something freehand. But when it comes to these, they really do have to be very symmetrical. Alrighty, so there we go. Now we can put our stencils aside, our mirrors aside until the end. Put our pencil down, we're good to go. We can start painting. Okay guys, so we're going to start painting. So we're going to get out our number 3 stylus first. So this is the green one. And I'm going to just lay this mirror over just so I can get an idea, because I want to make sure I'm painting the right line. Just remember it's this outer one that's right past the mirror when you lay it down. And we're going to be using our highlight. So I mark it H for highlight. It is the pearl color. You will have this available as well. I am just going to stir these up just a little bit just to see what the consistency is, because sometimes they settle. And I painted this other moon that I showed you about a day or 2 ago. So I am going to get some gloss fluid medium. I want to make sure I'm using gloss for metallic. And this is just going to thin it out just a little bit. I'm probably going to do a little bit of a squeeze, maybe about a 1/4 teaspoon of some gloss fluid medium. And this is going to help just thin that out just a tad. Here we go. All right, and I can begin my dotting. So just bear in mind that when I reference the pearl color, it's going to be your highlight, the H. I am going to use the size 3, which is that ball tip And I'm just going to start at one side. You can opt to dot. So you're going to dot on the line, and I dot where one of these segment lines start. Do I want to do every segment? Probably not, only because they may not line up, because sometimes your dots could be a little bit bigger in size or smaller. I like to just kind of eyeball, start at one end and go around in a circle. Not everybody likes to do that, so I would just do what makes it comfortable for you. I am just going around though, if you notice. So there we go. There is our first row of our dots. They look great. If I have any bubbles, because when I mixed it up, if you notice, it got a little bubbly. So I'm just gonna go in with, I used to use these. I use these sometimes to pull my swooshes. It's a very sharp tip though. It's for clay tools, to use for clay. And I like to go in and I just pop some of those air bubbles with it. You could use a push pin as well. Anything sharp, really. Even probably your micro dotter would be able to achieve that. But you do want to pop those, because if you don't, sometimes they will dry a little wonky. All right, that's good. All right, so now I'm gonna get out my color 5, which is the lightest hue. Now also I wanted to let you guys know that when I mix these, I basically just did ratios. So I just squeezed in my green succulent color for every one, and then as I went up in shade, I just added more white. There's no scientific matter of this. There's no, I used this much amount or this much amount. I really just eyeballed it to where I can see a nice gradient of color going on. If you don't know how to make monochromatic colors, you can always watch a video that I have available on the YouTube here, and you can obviously learn how to do it yourself. It's quite simple. It's not stressful. You just have to add a little bit of white to your green as you grow. And that's really what we are doing here. I'm going to number these, obviously, 1 being the darkest and 5 being the lightest. So I'm going in with 5. And this little area I have here, I'm going to fill in with my green. I can get any kind of dotting tool I want for this. It doesn't have to be a tiny little one. I'm going to use the 3 again. And what I'm going to just do is make a couple little dots here and there. And then I'm going to push it around with my dotting tool. When I get to the pearl color, I'm going to have to make my own makeshift little like half circle there. I'm making a semicircle at the top. And then I'm going to pull it down to a point. And I'm just following that shape that I made with my pencil and my stencil. Like that. So we can fill that in. It will evenly distribute itself if your paint's not too thick. But we're going to want to do that all the way around here. We're going to have 4 petals total. I hope everyone has enjoyed their Easter break, if they have had one. And if you celebrate Easter, happy belated Easter. Happy belated St. Patrick's Day as well. I know I haven't seen any of you in quite some time, so I hope you're all doing having much happiness and doing really good. I'm getting better. Those of you who aren't on my social media, that only specifically watch me on YouTube, get an idea of that my mother was sick and that I was taking a break and helping her out a lot and visiting her in the hospital. My mom did pass away, so it's been a few weeks now that she is gone. I'm doing okay, though. I'm getting on the best I can. I have my great, wonderful family, and everybody's been very supportive. And I didn't want to give up my mandala painting and just keep moving forward with it. That's where I'm at. In time, things will get better, obviously, but I do miss her a lot. My mom and I were very close. She was my best friend, and so it's a little hard when you lose your friend, your best friend. We did everything together. But I know in my heart that she's still with me, and I know that that's all that matters, and that she's at peace. We had some much needed closure towards the end there, and I was fortunate enough to bring her home here for hospice care, and that was really great, the two of us to be together. Yeah, I think when you have closure, it's something that is really dear to your heart, and it makes you feel good because you know that they're safe. So we've mapped out this little area, right? And we've got this filled in. Now what we want to do is we're going to do like a series of swoops with our brushes. If you don't feel comfortable doing with the brush, you can always opt to just make some swooshes with your dotting tool. I like to do the swoops, okay? So what we're going to want to do, once this dries, we're going to go back over that and we're going to do some micro dots just as a border, but we're going to wait till that dries first, okay? So for now, we're going to want to go in and we're going to do our number 1, so that's our darkest. And I'm just coating the brush just enough. It doesn't need to be dripping wet, just enough to have a nice amount on the tip. And what I want to do is where these two meet, these petals, I'm going to start in that center. If you notice, if they line up, you have this guideline right here, this segment line to guide you through where you're going to want to lay it down. You have one here, you have one here. We're focusing on these 4 corners in between the petals. So when I lay down my brush, I want to, so if this is my segment line here, I'm going to go to the right of the segment line, right like that. And I'm going to push down and I'm going to make a swoop like that. The other side, I'm going to do the same, push down, and I'm just following that curve of that shape, okay? Again here. And it's a very tiny little swoop. It's not big. That's why I'm using the 2-0 because it's one of the smaller ones. You don't want to be using like the size 0 because there'll be too much paint on it and then they'll bleed together, these two colors. So right here I'm going to bring it around. It might be hard to see on the video because the colors are very subtle, but you can get the gist of what we're doing there. I gotta watch that mirror because that mirror is not tacked down. In fact, I think I should probably move that mirror. Oof, there we go. And then this last one right here. Good. And now we're good with that. We're going to close out our number 1 Now we're gonna go in and we're gonna do the number 2. So we're gonna move up in colors. Number 2, and we're gonna do another swoop. This time, however, instead of starting up here, I'm gonna start down here. So where this tip came from the last one that we came down, and we're doing these segment lines here, right here, this one and this one, we're gonna start like on this side in this little area, and then we're gonna go up instead. So we're just going backwards really. So like this, I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna bring it up to that center. Again, try not to get too much paint on your brush. Right here. You do the other side over here. So. I really like the design that this makes. It's very pretty. And there we go. And then again, one more color. So we're gonna do 3 now. So we're gonna go to the number 3. And again, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna follow it up. But this time I'm really just falling on that line that we drew out from the shape. So I'm gonna sit right here. And I'm just gonna follow that up. Be very slow with this one because it's more dominant and lighter in color. So you will see this one. There we go. There we go. So we've got our center element all done. We're just going to wait till it dries a bit and go back in, and then we can do some highlights on top of that. But that is our center color. We're going to do one more thing here, and we're going to do some highlights with it. But we're going to do some dots first, just to fill that out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get out my size 4 stylus. This is the purple one. It's the second to largest cut size, and I'm gonna go in with my H, so the highlight. My numbers are all coming off. Oopsie doos. Let's see. So you guys can see. 3, 2. All right. So I'm gonna open up my highlight. And with the number 4, at the tips of these, we're going to do 2 dots. So we're going to do one like so. And then the next one's going to be right below it. Up here, we'll do the same thing. Over here. And then this one's not really going to get much because got too far over, so that's all right. Now I can get out my brush again, and I'm going to go in with my highlight, and then we're going to make a swoop. We're going to do it how we did it in the beginning. So I'm going to start in the center here and follow that down. So and like that. And when this dries, it's going to look really beautiful. It's going to have that nice sheen to it. It's going to sparkle. I can clean my brush. So there we go. There is our center element going on, and now we can keep moving on. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a bit of a border here, and then I'm going to go back in and fill in this little gap here, but I'm going to do a border first. So basically this next free line that we have here where the pearl dot left off, we're going to do a series of dots to create that border. So I'm going to get out my happy dotting tools. I'm going to get out the size 3, and I'm going to go in with my number 3 color. And what I'm going to basically do is just, like I said, make a series of rows of dots. I am going to start in the center and either work my way left or right. It really doesn't matter. What I want to do though is basically have the dotting tool, the bottom of that dot and that circle there, rest on that guideline going around. So I'm not really centering it in that area. It's sitting on the guideline. And I'm just going to go up until I can't. And then I'm going to do it on the opposite end. And then when I'm done, I'm going to flip it over and do it over here as well. So it looks like it was part of that circle. Again, I'm going to start in the center. And there we go. Okay guys, so now that we finished this circle of dots, we're gonna focus on the inner part before we get too far out. So I'm gonna get out my stylus. I'm gonna get out my 5, my 4, and my 3. Those are the ones that I want to use. So they're going to go with the first one is the size 5. And we're going to go in with our green number 1, the darker one. And on this vertical guideline here, the segment line, I'm going to do a swoosh where I dot and I pull down. And I'm pulling down on that line. Same over here. I'm pulling down. And then I'm just doing those 4 corners. Like so. Now you can put your 5 down. Let's get out 4. And we're going to go in with our number 2. Right? Because we're building up in the color again. So now this time we're going to do the bottom. So I'm going to go next to that little thin part of your swoosh, and I'm going to curve up. So I'm going to do it on both sides like that. So you do that for each of them as well. I'm just resting the dot on this guideline right here too that swoops around. This one bled just a little bit, so what I'm going to do is take my micro dotter and I'm going to pull that paint away from each other. And sometimes if you get lucky, you can get like a nice line in there to where it separates it. There we go. That's a little bit better. So now we're going to stay with our size number 4, and we're going to go in with our 3 green color. And this one I'm going to dot on that line, however, I'm going to pull it now with a micro dotter. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to pull it up and around because I want it to be a little bit more defined. And if I was to pull it with this, I would get about halfway up and then it would be really thick. It wouldn't be that nice tapered look. So that's one way of doing it, is to dot with your stylus and then pull that up and around with a much thinner point. If you don't have a micro dotter, you can always opt to use something like a bamboo skewer. I know in my videos in the past I've used that. Those work fantastic. Or even things like toothpicks. Anything that's fairly thin and to a point would work well. You don't always have to buy the best tools. Remember that, especially if you're starting out and you're unsure if you want to keep going with this. And there we go. So that's good. And then the last part I'm going to want to do is I'm just going to do some 2 dots to fill in right in this area. I'm going to use my number 3 stylus and I'm going to open up my 4 and I'm going to dot one right here in that little nook and then one on this side as well. We will do some top dots on these as well, but I'm going to wait until they're completely dry. Oh, I forgot to do that one. Let's do that one first. And then we'll pull this up. So to make these swooshes too, if you're not sure, I just pull from one side, usually the one that's closest to my other swoosh. I'll pull from one side and pull up, and it starts to resemble like a little bit of a music note or a boot. And then you just curve it. Let's do a dot here. And there we go. So there's our nice little filled in area. So this element is all done. We're going to want to do, like I said, some top dots and things, but we're going to wait until we're completely done painting everything. And then once we're down here, we can go back in because this will start to be dry. So that's how that should start looking. Good. Okay guys, so now we're going to focus on doing the part with the mirrors. So if we did this correct and we have them, the diamonds mapped out, right? We have them drawn out. Well, now we can start painting around those. And then when they're ready and dry, we can just lay in those mirrors. So I'm going to start with a series of walking dots. And then from there, we're going to do some swoops with the brushes. I am going to start with the size number 4 stylus. And I am going to go in with my color number 5, which is the lightest. And I'm going to dot at the base of where that diamond had finished. I usually do 1 dot first, and then I will do a 2nd dot, and then I will walk it up. And I'm just walking it up and around that diamond shape. It's very simple. There's not much to this. It's just a matter of having a nice steady hand, go slow, and follow that up. Now, this is a bit tricky, and I want to show you what I like to do. So if you see on this side right here, it cuts off that diamond, right? So there's nothing here that I can do as far as making that walking dot up. However, up here, it does show like a little bit of that tapered look. And if I went in and dotted this, it would be really thick and big and bulky. And this gets small because I do walk that dot. I do remove that paint gradually. So what I could do is get a scrap of paper, and I could potentially just dot as if I was doing it and walk it up. And then when I get to this spot, I just continue it onto that. And then that kind of helps me get that thing going. It's very simple. It's nothing to it. And I think like it works well when we have to do something like this, okay? I'll probably do it on this side too because I have over here, all right? So I'll finish this one up first. And then here, I'm gonna roughly guesstimate, probably right about here. And then I walk it up. And then again, over here. Going up. See? So there we go. Perfect. And then this I can just discard. I don't really need it. But then it makes a nice looking uniformed walking dot series. We'll do this on this side as well. So again, we're going in with the number 5 paint with our number 4 stylus tool. So again, over here, I'm a little bit cut off. So I'm gonna dot and then go up and around. And then dot there, dot, 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 dot. Dot, dot, dot. And then we have one more here that we can work on. I am going to clean off my tool just a little bit because it's getting a little bit too much paint on there. Here we go. So again, dot, dot. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Don't even stress over that. Okay. And there we go. So there's our walking dots. We can put this down now, and now we're going to get out our brush again. So let's get out our brush, guys. So we're going to use the 2-0 again, and then we're going to go in with our size, or I'm sorry, our color number 1 first, and then we're going to do a series of swoops around these walking dots. So I like to do these sometimes the opposite direction. You can do it this way and pull down and around. However, I find that I have better control when I do from this way and go out. Only with some of these swoops when I have to go down. So I'm going to do this one first. I'm just going to quickly and slowly pull down. So we'll do this one over here. So we're doing the darker color first, and then we're going to build gradually with the lighter colors. There we go. There's that side, and then I'm just going to flip it around and I'm going to do this side. If they join together, that's quite all right. So there we go. There's our swoops for the darkest color. Now, let me clean my brush. And I'm going to go in with my pearl. So now the pearl I'm going to do from the bottom and go up, what we did here with these swooshes. So I'm going to go in with my highlight, my pearl. And at the base here where this came down and met together, On the right hand side, we're going to push down and then we're going to go up, following that curve. If you get some green on there, just wipe off your brush and then go back in. And then this side, obviously, I cannot do the whole thing. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just doing it on my napkin. And then we're going to bring it up. Same over here. If I can imagine, it's down here. I'm pushing it down, wiping some of that off, and then coming up and around. It can get a little tricky when you have to do things that don't consist of the beginning of it. Okay, almost done. There we go. And this side over here is going to do the same thing. So again, I'm just going to kind of squish that in and then come up and around. Man, those people must have had a lot of leaves. They've been blowing those leaves all day long. Wow. All right. So again, right here, we're going to go push down, follow it up. Follow that up. I've seen some beautiful pieces of work in our Facebook group page. Wow, guys, you're doing really excellent. I love some of the work that some of you have been producing. It's fantastic. You should be proud of yourself. You really have made some nice pieces. I'm just going to make this a little bit more dominant. There we go. And so that's good. That's done. Now we can go through and do 2 more colors with this brush. So I am going to do number 4 green color, and I'm going to do the number 3. So I'm going to do, let me see here. I think it's the number 3, 4, yeah. So I'm going to go with 4 first. And with the 4, I'm going to do the center. So I'm really just eyeballing where these 2 meet here. This pearl and this pearl and this pearl. I'm going to lay this down in the center and pull straight up. I'm not going to go all the way up, but I am just going to kind of go up to where those 2 meet together. So this one I'm going to have to try to do something here and then pull up. This one's a little tricky. And then I'm going to do this side. So you're really just mirroring, obviously. If you wanted to just do one side and then finish and then go back and do the other one, you can absolutely do that too. Choice is yours. Okay. Good. And that's done. Good. Now we can go in with 3, and if you guessed it, 3 is going to be in this part, right in the center. Oop, 3. We went into, well, I don't even know which one we went into. 1. Yeah. There we go. So that's done. Moving on. I can do a row now. I'm going to do a row of dots again like we did over here. So I'm going to get out my tool, my number 4. I'm going to get out my number 4 tool, and I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use the number 5. So we're going to do, oh no, we're going to use number 1 actually. Number 1 green. And again, I'm just making some basic shape dots on the next guideline that was available. I gotta go up until I can't. Even if one of them is like a half of one, that's fine. Just like that. And I'm gonna flip it to the other side. There we go. So we clean off our dotting tool now. I am going to go in and pop some of these bubbles that I have going on here. Has a big bubble right there. There we go. Good. So now we're going to start doing the round mirrors at the base down here and do a little bit of other things, and then we're almost done, guys. So this is moving along nicely. So our next step now, we're going to do this like string of pearls, I like to call them. I am going to just take my pencil and I'm going to sketch this out. So what I want to do is the only vertical segment line that you see here that comes jetting out, we're going to do some string of pearl looking thing. So what I want to do is take from this part where it meets the circles, I'm going to do a swoop down. And I'm really just going down about 3 lines. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's like making like a string of garland. You know how if you're drawing, it's like whoop whoop, like the bottom of a cloud. And I'm only going to do 1 like that because I don't have much room to work with. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to come down and I'm really going to try to make it to where I'm at least on that 3rd line down so that it's the same uniformed. And the bottom of that swoop is going to rest on that 3rd guideline. 1, 2, 3. Now we can go in with our pearl, which is the H or highlight, and I am going to be using, I think I'm going to use the size number 1, or yeah. So I'm using my micro dotter. It's the one that has the ball tip at the end, not the super point. I'm going to use this. I consider this like a size 1 dotting tool. If you have any of these, the very small would work fantastic as well. Even if you have the same stylus I have, you can always opt to use the white one, which is the thinnest one that this offers. So anything really small would work nicely. And we're just going to go in. We are going to start at that top part, and I'm just going to follow the line basically. There's not much to it. You just want to make sure you have a nice dot. So if you dip in and you have a lot, you can probably get away with doing about 2 of them, and then you got to go back in and dip. Just really make sure that the dots are cohesive so that they're all pretty much the same size. You don't want one really large and then the rest are really small. Try to keep them steady and the same. And I said just follow the curve of the line that you made. There's not much to it. And we'll do this side as well. And this is what I like to call like a string of pearls, because that's what it looks like. It looks like a bunch of pearls. And it's very pretty when you're using this nice highlight accent color. And I'll do the other side real quick. And there we go, guys. So there's our nice string of pearls. Now I'm gonna make it looks like a pendant hanging from this. So right in this area, I'm gonna do a trio of swooshes. And so what I wanna do is I'm gonna get out my number 4, I think I'm gonna do my number 4 stylus. Yeah. Or should I do the number, I think I'm gonna do the number 4 tool. Actually, I want a nice bigger one. So I'm gonna use the size 4 in the happy dotting. And I am gonna go in with using the number 3 paint color. And I wanna have a nice swoosh looking thing. So I'd say from that top dot that we did, we went down, remember we went down to the 3rd line. So let's go down to the 4th one. So the one right below it, and I'm going to do on that line, so it's resting on top of it. I'm going to do a nice plump dot, a lot of paint, and then I'm going to take my micro dotter and I'm going to pull straight up that center line there, all the way to the top. I want that nice tapered look. So make sure it stays thin at the top. So just like that. And then I'm going to do 2 more, and I'm going to go the next line up. So that 3rd line where we rested those in, and that should fill in that nice little spot. So this, I'm going to center this dot on the line. Ooh. I got some gook in that one. Let's try to feed that out. And I just try to make sure that they're the same distance apart from that center one. I don't want this one way over here and vice versa. So this one I have to be careful with because I think some of the paint had dried and it's gloppy. I think those that paint a lot will understand what I'm talking about. Right in here I got a glop of paint somewhere. I'm just gonna leave it in there though. It'll dry. Again, I'm making like a music note. So I pull, if my dot's on the right here, I'm going to pull to the left side of that circle dot that we did. Pull all the way up so it's nice and tapered. And now that it looks like a little music note, I'm going to fill this in just a tad to make it a little bit more thicker on the base. And that's how we're going to do those. I want to do this again for this side over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So there we go. Now we can put in our mirrors and then finish out the bottom half. So what I want to do is I want to get out my round mirrors, and I'm gonna try to lay them out to where they can sit in a really good spot. So I think we're gonna do this one right here. Maybe we'll just center it, yeah. So the next line down, I'm resting the top of that mirror on there, like that. And then the same thing over here. I'm just centering it with this space I have working with right here. Like, good. So we'll have two going on. And then I'm gonna trace it out. So once I'm satisfied with where I have it, I'm gonna trace out my mirror so I can see where it is. All right, and so now I'm going to do like a series of swoops around that as well. So I want to start with a center dot first and then work my way around that. So I'm going to do the size number 4 stylus, and I'm going in with my pearl, the highlight. And I'm going to dot the line right below it. So I'm just eyeballing where that circle is, and I'm eyeballing where the center of it I feel is. So right there. And then I'll do the other side. So this one again, it's gonna probably be around like right here. And then we're gonna get out our brush. I always like to wet my brush first and wipe it so it's nice and damp, because then it leaves a nice tapered. All right, and then I'm gonna go in with my, we're gonna go in with our number 5. So we're gonna go in with the lightest green. And I'm gonna do one on this side. So I'm gonna push down, and I'm gonna slowly follow that circle all the way up, like, and then the other side I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to push down, and I'm going to follow it up. So it makes this nice like horseshoe effect. Let's flip it around and do the other side real quick. I'm going to pop some of these bubbles there. I don't want the bubbles. Pop those bubbles. That was close. Let's do the next color. So now I'm going to go in with my next color. My next color is going to be the number 4 with the brush. And then, so now what I'm going to do is just go a little bit up. So if I went on this last line that I had marked out, I want to go up the next line. And I'm going to push again and swirl and come together in that center again. Do the same thing on the other side. Push down, come around. This one I'm going to do a little bit wider. I'll push that down just a little bit wider. There we go. Let's do this side. Push down and come around. That's what we say. Push down, come around. Here we go. I'm just popping some of those air bubbles. And then we have one color left. So we're gonna do 3, number 3 green. And you guessed it, we're gonna go up one more line. Just so it should look something like that. Beautiful. So there's our mirror. Now I'm just gonna do some more dots and then we're gonna finish it up, guys. So I don't have any lines mapped out. Now, I can either opt to do this, and that's what I'm going to do, is I'm really just gonna make my own little lines. If you can see the other lines, you know what a 1/4 of an inch will look like. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're really just making a couple lines, that's all. So we can draw this out. There's no wrong or right way of doing it. Just eyeball the space to make them look similar. You don't even have to use all the lines, but just get some of them working. So there we go. So now we can go into this last little section that we got going, and then we're all done. So I'm gonna do a little bit bigger of a dot here. So I'm gonna go in with my size number 6. A little bit larger than what we're used to. And I'm gonna go in with my, I'm gonna say my number 2 color. And right below where this was, I'm gonna dot. I like to do, like I said, I do the center one first and then I work my way out because, I don't know, I just want like a nice uniform look to these dots. And there's not that many of a row. I don't really want to start over here and work my way over because then I'd rather have them cut off at the end than in the middle somewhere, if that makes sense. So it should look like that. That looks great. And of course these big ones we're gonna go back through with some top dots. We just have to wait till that dries. So we just wanna lay down our full design first and then we can go back through. I am gonna do some little tiny micro dots. So I am gonna get out my micro dotter or the size 1 dotting tool and go in with my highlight, my pearl. And in between these, I like to do a tiny little micro dot. And this just kind of ties them in nicely together. This one obviously isn't going to show, so you don't have to do the bottom one. Let's go through this one. Do the ones that are visible. And there you go. So now we can do a couple things. We can either keep going with some dots, or I like to do the herringbone swoosh, and that is where you do some coming down and some going up in different directions. We can try to do that in these 2 spaces. So we have 1 and 2 lines, and then we'll finish it off maybe with some smaller dots. So let's try that. We'll do the number 2 stylus, I think, or no, I'm gonna do the number 1 actually. I'm gonna do some small ones. And I'm gonna wanna go in, let's see what colors can we do. Maybe we'll do 5 and 4. Yeah. Coming down, I'm gonna do 5. Or I'm sorry, I'm doing 1 and 2, not 5 and 4. We're gonna do 1 and 2. So number 1, the darkest color, I'm gonna start somewhere in the middle there. And pull it down to that next line. Right next to it, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to dot. So I'm really focusing on this spacing, not so much down here, because I know this is going to be a little bit wider. You just don't want them on top of each other. You want to make sure that they're spaced a little bit evenly apart. And the reason why is because we're going to go back in on the bottom half and pull up with a different color. These you're just going to dot and pull, taper quickly down. This one I can't really do much, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Now I'm going to go in with my number 2 color and do the bottom. So I'm going to dot the bottom and pull my way up. Just be careful that they don't bleed into each other. So if you're a little unsure about how to do this, you can always wait till these dry and then go back in with your number 2 color and pull those up. If you do it slowly and carefully, you shouldn't be able to get them mixed in. All right, so there we go. There's a little bit of a herringbone design. Again, I'm going to do it on this side too. So we did the number 1 going down. Now this one's a little tricky because it was resting on the top here, so we have 1, 2 lines. It's covered, so I'm just going to go right below that little micro dot. And then again, we're going to go up with the color with number 2. There we go. Now we can finish this up, and then we'll come back and we'll do the top dots once this is all nice and dry. All right, so let's finish out some of this end here. So let's just go down in size. So what we can do is we'll start with the size 5 stylus, and I'm going to start with the lightest color and go down dark. So I'm going to start with the number 5 green. And on this next line here, I'm just going to do a series of dots. And I'm just following that curve of the line that I drew. Again, over here. Now you might run out of space over here versus here, but that's quite all right. I don't think anyone's going to rip you apart because you don't have this and this the same. It's okay. I don't even have that, if you notice. So now I'm going to go down in size and I'm going to do the next color down, which is the 4. And I'm really not getting much out of it, if you notice. It's like a couple of dots here and there. Again, let's go down in size. So we're going to go 3, and we're going to go 3 and 3 this time. I think we pretty much just only got 2 dots out of that one. We'll stay with the 3 this time, and we'll go down to the number 2. We'll finish that side out I think we'll finish both sides out with this. Like so. So I just filled in that end part with the dots. But there you go, guys. There you have it. So let's let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll do the series of top dots. This is probably dry in here, so we might be able to get away with working on this little area right here. I want to say so. Maybe we could do some top dots on this one. So you see these rows right here that we did, these green dots in the circle. We can go back through that and we can finish with top dots. So let's do that. Let's do the top dots. I would say let's do a size number 2 for that. Maybe a 3. Yeah, let's do size 3 stylus. And we're going to go into our highlight pearl. And I'm just going to try to center that dot right in the middle. The best I can. Don't worry if it peaks, it will move its way out and get flattened. If it stays peaked, your paint is probably too thick. Just remember that. There we go. So there we go. There's some top dots for these right here. And let's do this side now. Let's pop any bubbles that formed. I think those look good. The rest of it's still a little wet, so we might want to wait. So we're going to do some top dots on this row of dots too. We're going to do some top dots on these swooshes. Do some dots in this design as well, and maybe down in here will work too. Let's wait until this is dry, and I'll come back and then we'll finish this out. So now that my paint has dried a little bit, we're gonna finish our top dots. So I'm gonna get out the size number 3 stylus, and I'm gonna go in with the number 3 paint. And we're gonna do some top dots right over these that we had done. So again, it's the same process as the pearls that we did. You just wanna try and get them the best they can. Did you see that glob that fell? Wait, we're gonna have to fix that up. Hang on. Flew out of there. We can get some base coat and we'll go over that once we finish. It's not a big deal. All right. Let's go back to what we were doing. So now we can do some top dots on these as well. We're gonna do a top swoosh. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the same size. I'm going to go in with my pearl, and I'm going to dot the center of the base of the swoosh. Like, make a nice plump dot. So it looks something like that. And then I'm going to take my micro dotter or my puller, one of the things you have, and just pull that up so it creates a top swoosh. It doesn't have to fill in because we want the other color to come through as well. Again, we'll do it over here. And there we go. And then we'll just pull these up as well. Here we go. And then I'm gonna get my size. I'm gonna stay with the size number 3 and go in with the pearl again. And this time I'm gonna do the first one we did, the swoop. I'm gonna dot here, and I'm just gonna do a walking dot just up that first one. Kind of makes it stand out from the rest, and it ties in that center one nicely. There we go. Couple more things to go. So we're actually going to just do one more thing, guys, and then we're going to call it a day, I think. Oh, and we're going to do these as well. I forgot about those. So this last part we're going to do, I'm going to do size 5 with my pearl. And again, I'm just going to do some center dots on those large dots that we did. And that just gives it a nice, it just brings out that nice highlight in all of them. Again, we're going to do over here. I like adding the dimension, the texture to these now, and start building up from there. It really brings it in nicely. And now we could go back and maybe do the opposite of these colors as well and do some top dots. The last thing I'm going to do though, guys, right now for the painting part is just do my, I'm going to get out my microdot of the size 1 with my pearl. And I'm going to start from the base where we filled this color in. And I'm just going to line the outside with these small little microdots. It's very similar to the string of pearls that we did. And we're just going to go up and around that. I'm going to do this all the way around on each side. You have to turn it, go right ahead. And there we go. So there's the perimeter of that as well. And this is coming out really nice. This looks great. And so now all you want to really do, guys, is once this is dry, you can do a nice coat of varnish on this. Remember, if you have the metallics, you want to use a gloss varnish. I would definitely skip areas like this and this where you're going to glue something down because it could potentially peel up the varnish. So leave those out and just remove the guidelines. And then once they're done, you can pop in your mirrors. Like I suggested, when you trace them out, these little areas here, you're just going to want to get your glass cutter and you're going to want to go over the area that is marked. So I know I did one of these, this one I did. So all I'm going to want to do is hold it, and with some firm pressure, I'm going to want to ride this little cutter right over the edge of this. I like to go over it a few times. You might cut some pieces of it, so don't be alarmed if that happens. And then all you want to do is put it in here or get some pliers. They usually do sell them with it together. And then you just want to pop it off. I don't want to do it because I don't want any glass falling in this right now. But I will show you once it's done what it looks like. But this is the finished product, guys. I hope you enjoyed doing this. Once this is done, what I'm going to do is probably drill a small hole up in here. And then I can hang my little pendant from it. And it'll be a nice addition to my projects. It really is a beautiful piece. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did teaching it. And it was really fun, and I'm so happy to be back doing this. I hope you guys really enjoyed it and you stick around for more videos to come. I've got some amazing other projects to do and some fun stuff for us coming up in the future for the summer. Take care, guys. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll catch you on the next one. Happy dotting. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.